Next joining us is Dr. Georgette Fraser-Moore, an executive consultant and CEO of Transformation Lead, LLC. She brings 20 plus years of IT strategy and business operations experience from global corporations, international consulting, and government agencies. In addition, Dr. Fraser-Moore has held leadership positions in technology organizations, serves on the advisory boards of several universities, and is a contributor to the Forbes Technology Council. She will speak on the opportunities for women in technology and advice for emerging and established women leaders.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. I'm going to jump right on in. Becoming a woman in technology and the endless possibilities. That's a huge subject, but where I would probably start is the secret to success. So if you're already a seasoned woman in technology, you may already know the secret. But if you're not, or you're at a phase where you're thinking about getting into technology, or you're thinking about changing your career, or you're maybe at an early stage in your career and you haven't necessarily found your ground yet, you may want to know the secret. And, that secret, what secret is it? I'm not really sure if I'm supposed to share this with everyone yet, but the secret to a successful career as a woman in technology is the fact that there is not a secret. There's really no secret, and everyone's journey in technology is completely different. The more women I meet, the more journeys I hear of. So you may have always wanted to be a technologist, or you may have stumbled upon and fell into this career path by accident. Some of you may be out there making a conscious decision right now to change your career path, or you may be in a different career right now and you're making a mid-career change or a mid-career decision. There's so many ways that women change and women enter technology, but there's some characteristics that I find to be common across threads that allow women to be truly, truly successful. So I'm going to kind of take it back just a little bit and tell you a little bit about how I became a woman in technology. I'd like to say that, that I chose tech, but I didn't. I didn't choose technology. Technology chose me. So growing up, I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be the Claire Huxtable of the criminal justice system. But at 11 years old, technology chose me. I received an invite to go to a new concept school in New York. At the time, they said it was a school for the gifted, and they were just starting it out. I was part of the very, very first cohort, and the name of the school was the Computer School. At that point, I had never even owned a computer. But at 11 years old, I not only started writing code, but I started hacking into the computers in the school, and I grew a love for technology. Now, this Claire Huxtable wannabe eventually grew up, and after middle school, went to high school, and my career goals did not change. I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to change the world through the legal process. But when making a decision for law school, my mom wouldn't let me go to Stanford. Stanford was on the other side of the country, and I was a little immigrant girl that grew up in New York City with me and my mom, and she had different plans. I could not get up and leave at 17 years old and go all the way to the other side of the country by myself. So my counselor, they ended up, you'd probably say they're a person that changed my life, but my counselor, in conversation, and my distraught that I could not go to law school, at least not at that time, my counselor said, "Hey, what is something else that you love?" And I thought back to being 11 years old and hacking into the computers at school and changing the algorithms behind the startup and changing how it processed and building code. And I said, you know what? I do really, really love computers. And I had a passion for computers. I had a passion for figuring out things. I even wanted to break it and rebuild it. And that's some of the things that I ended up doing. But I decided to go to school for computer information systems. Now life happens, right? And you're a woman. So, well, most of you are women. You might have some men in here listening, but life happens to us women, and it doesn't always go as planned. So early on, I became a mom. I grew a family while I was in school. So I was going to school for computer information systems, wanted to be a lawyer when I grew up. And at this point, I was a mom with 2 kids and married and building, and I had a really great job. I worked in banking. I worked in banking when I was going through college and even after college. And I kind of at this point in life, I say I'm a recovering banker, which is extraordinarily interesting, but I did build a whole career in banking. I'm not going to get too far into that. But as a single mom and a recurring banker, somewhere around my late 20s, early 30s, I had to figure out, how do I go back and figure out what my career was supposed to be? So for me, myself, I didn't become a lawyer immediately. I ended up with a career in banking, and I ended up with an education in computer information systems. And I needed to figure out, what do I do next? So as a career changer, I had to give up. I gave up my job as an assistant vice president at a local bank here in Atlanta, Georgia. And I was offered a great opportunity to be an intern in technology, an intern getting paid $15 an hour, I believe. Now, that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but that opportunity sounded like everything. So as a mom, as a person that had a career as an adult, I gave up my assistant vice president banker job, where I wore suits every day, to be an intern for $15 an hour at a financial technology innovation firm. Now, this goes back to the secret. The secret, there's no secret. There's not a secret for everyone in their career and how things happen and how you're supposed to get in technology. But one thing that I find common throughout all women that are successful is the fact that they don't give up. They set their minds on something. And when they've set their mind to do it, they do everything in their power to do it. So now, as a I guess in your 20s, well, 30s, you're now somewhat a middle-aged person. I am an intern making $15 an hour. And I had to figure out how to take my skills that I already had and transition them into technology. Now, I've been coding and building websites since I was 11 years old. I've been hacking into computers and doing cybersecurity since forever and a day. But now in the corporate world, things are a little bit different, and you end up seeing some challenges. There's some challenges that are different, not just as an incoming technologist, but there are some challenges that are unique being a woman in technology. Some of those is, will they take me seriously? 9 times out of 10, I am the only woman in the room. I may be the only minority in the room sometimes, and I am usually leading the discussion. And in leading the discussion, you need to be able to at least have the confidence and believe in yourself so that other people can believe in you as well. So I remember one situation. I was the only woman in the room, and I happened to be in a leadership position, and I needed to get a system built, a brand new technology that had not happened before. And this was something that we were using emerging technology, financial technology, bridging it all together for a client. And my software development team, that was new to me. They didn't know me very well, and I was new to the organization. They didn't know who this woman was, and why was I there, and what made me or gave me the credentials to be able to build technology. One thing that I can reflect on during those moments is connecting with people. So those software developers they're in their zone. I am a business technologist, and I'm working to innovate and working to drive the vision. And in that space, those technologists looked at me and said, hey, she probably doesn't know this side. So what I did was I sat down with them while they were writing code, and I kind of translated their code, and I helped them work through their issues. Some of them had some blockers that they had been stuck on and couldn't get past them for the last couple of days. I said, hey, what are some of the things that aren't working? And they said, hey, this one thing isn't working. And they kind of said it at a really high level. I was able to dig into the code really quickly and pull out some of the lines of code where I saw some things that we could change. And I worked together with the technologists and the software developers to help them overcome their situations or overcome the problems and challenges that they were facing. So that did 2 things as a woman in tech. 1, it showed that I knew what I was talking about. 2, I have to know what I'm talking about to be able to jump in and do it. But 3, it was building an amazing relationship with the team that I was supporting and that was supporting me in this journey so that we can deliver things for our customer. So I talked a lot about getting into tech. There's tons of ways to get in. I'm going to repeat this again because, well, I'm a teacher too. So in getting into tech, there's tons of paths and none of them are the same. So you could be a career transitioner. This may have been your plan forever, Or this may be something that you just stumbled upon. But once you get in the door in technology, you still have to secure your seat. You have to do whatever you can to make sure that you're taken seriously. You need to stay on top of the technology so that you know what's happening and you know what the technology can do and you know the new things. And technology changes so quickly. There's new technology coming out every day. There's new companies creating new things, and there's new software and emerging tech concepts that seem to be popping up every other day. So you need to stay abreast of those things. Our company is a Microsoft partner, but in being with technology, it's important for me, even as a CEO, to make sure that I understand the new technology that's coming out, and I am making sure that in addition to the stuff that we're using, that I stay abreast of those new technologies like artificial intelligence, which is really, really cool. I get to work with artificial intelligence. I get to work with, on a business perspective, being able to advance drone technology and how it's being used in business, and I get to do some really cool things with other emerging technologies. Technology has opened doors for me to be able to be in some rooms that I've never been in before. You can use technology to do a lot. And I mean, when I say technology, I'm talking about the technology itself, but in your career, you can leverage a career in technology to do a lot and to go a lot of places. So what advice would I give to emerging women that are trying to get into technology or emerging and established leaders in technology? Honestly, there are a couple things that really stand out to me in those that achieve success in this area. One is the understanding that you are not limited, that there is no limits and the sky is not the limit, but you can go higher than the sky, especially in the realm of technology. The number two thing, which is probably the number one thing, is believing in yourself, knowing your worth and knowing that you can do it, not being afraid to do it, and being willing to step up, speak up, and break the mold for things that you have a voice on. Jump in and use your voice in technology. If you've been invited into a room, you've been invited in there for a reason. Utilize that space and take your space and be able to and let people know what you know. Let people know your ideas. Let people know that you can think outside of the box. Let people know that you can, if there's some technology that they're trying to figure out and you have an idea on it, you may not be sure if it's going to work, but still step up and speak and be able to share those ideas and be able to be part of that innovation process. Another piece of advice for emerging and established leaders, but for all leaders in technology, whether you're a woman or a man, the biggest thing that I think that you can do as a leader is create opportunities for technologists and innovators and people that are interested in the space, and even trying to help those that may not know about the space yet get excited about it and help them get interested in the space of technology. Everyone is always talking about leaning in and stepping up, but sometimes it's not about you, it's about the other people that you can touch. And there's power in numbers when you can open the door and create connection and provide opportunities for people that are interested in that space. Extend that invite to technology, invite more technologists in, and don't let anything in life deter you from trying again, even if you fail. So the last thing I would probably say to emerging and established technology leaders is try and try again. Be like that little engine that could and say, I think I can, I think I can, I know I can, I know I can. There are some things that seem like you don't have control over it, but don't let that experience or that thought or that fear stop you. Let that fear drive you and make sure that you're willing to try again and continue to push within technology. Technology opens many, many doors. For me, we have a 5-year-old company that works in innovation and emerging technology. I get the opportunity to speak at events like this and speak all over the world. I've been to most continents, speaking and advancing innovation in tech. I continue to help mentor and grow other women in tech. But the biggest thing I think that I get is the fact that my brain continues to learn and grow and be able to advance and watch and see how this technology kind of moves and grows and advance. And I advance with the technology itself. So if there's one thing that I'm going to leave you with is Don't give up on yourself and stay with technology. I hope you guys are enjoying the conference so far. So I look forward to seeing some of the other sessions. If you would like to connect with me, connect on LinkedIn. My name is Dr. Georgette Fraser-Moore, or you can also check out our company, Transformation Lead LLC. You can go to our website, www.transformationlead.com. We are hiring for innovators, technologists, project managers, business consultants, and specialists within emerging technologies. Thank you so much for listening today and have a great rest of the conference.
Thank you, Dr. Fraser-Moore. I'm sure women will benefit from your advice on becoming a technology leader.